Hello, family, friends, and fellow movie lovers. Jeffrey Michael here. And welcome to an absolutely fantastic edition of Jeffrey Michael's Movie Reviews Extravaganza. Mamma mia, here I go again with the movie reviews. But come along with me, and I'll be your dancing queen. Making videos is actually my Waterloo. But take a chance on me. Knowing me, knowing you, well, I'll have a good time as usual. You see what I did there? Anyway, let's get right to it. In this video, I'll be reviewing the movies that released on July the 20th, 2018. Okay, the first movie that I'll review for you is Mamma Mia, Here We Go Again, rated PG-13. It stars Amanda Seyfried, Dominic Cooper, Lily James, Christine Baranski, Julie Walters, Pierce Brosnan, Stellan Skarsgård, Colin Firth, Meryl Streep, Cher, and was directed by Ole Parker, who already brought you such films as Imagine Me and You, Now Is Good, and he was also the screenwriter to such films as The Best Exotic Marigold Hotel and The Second Best Exotic Marigold Hotel. So Mamma Mia, Here We Go Again is a prequel/sequel to the 2008 film Mamma Mia, which in turn was based on a musical by Katherine Johnson, which features many songs from the Swedish pop group ABBA. Now, for those of you who have never seen the original Mamma Mia, don't worry, a brief synopsis. So the first Mamma Mia was about a 20-year-old girl named Sophie, played by Amanda Seyfried. And she lived with her mother Donna, played by Meryl Streep, on a tiny Greek island off the Greek coast. And her mother Donna also ran a run-down hotel. And also Sophie's about to get married to her fiancé Sky, played by Dominic Cooper. But there's a problem. She's sad because she really wants her biological father to be there to give her away. The problem is she doesn't know who her father is. Back in 1979, her mother hooked up with 3 different men in a short time span. Whew, Mama got around in those days, didn't she? And so Sophie decides to send a letter to each one of these 3 men to find out who her father is finally. One of these men is Irish-American architect Sam, played by Pierce Brosnan. Another one is Swedish adventurer Bill, played by Stellan Skarsgård. And finally, there's British banker Harry, played by Colin Firth. And so each of these 3 men come to the island, and Sophie, Donna doesn't know about these men coming, so Sophie's trying really hard to keep them from Donna, all the while trying to figure out who her father is. And meanwhile, this wedding is being planned and is about to go on. And all the while, we're singing songs by ABBA, and there's lots of cheesy musical numbers. And it all comes to a head at the end when Sophie finds out who her father is. Now, who is her father? Well, I can't tell you that if you haven't seen it. That'd be spoilers. But I can tell you that at the end, she calls off her wedding because she wants more time with her fiancé. And Donna and Sam decide to tie the knot instead at the wedding. And overall, the first Mamma Mia I thought was a nice film. I mean, it's harmless, it's lightweight romantic comedy, it's cheesy bit of fluff. I mean, there's a lot of, it's fun to sing along to all those old ABBA songs, and, everyone does their part in their acting-wise. And, being on that Greek island, the cinematography, oh my gosh, it's beautiful. But overall, it was a nice movie. It wasn't great. And I mean, I felt like it could have been better than it was. Overall, I give the first Mamma Mia a B-. That's how I felt about it. So, Mamma Mia, Here We Go Again is both a prequel and a sequel to the original film. As a sequel, it takes place 5 years after the original Mamma Mia. In that time period, Donna has unfortunately passed away. Screw you, writers. Kill Meryl Streep. And also Sophie in that time has gotten married to Sky, and she's already pregnant with their first child, and she doesn't want anyone to know, though, although we find out soon enough that some of these family members are big blabbermouths. And in that time, Sophie has also managed to renovate and refurbish Donna's old hotel, and she's all ready for a new grand reopening of it, and she's worried if it's going to be a success or not. And she's also invited all of her, family, including her 3 fathers, but only Sam, played by Pierce Brosnan, shows up. The other 2 fathers, Harry and Bill, can't make it. She feels sad about that. But also who shows up are Donna's old friends, Rosie, played by Julie Walters, and Tanya, played by Christine Baranski. And they were old friends of Donna's back in the day, and they're also her original band members in their band Donna and the Dynamos. And as they're waiting for her to see if her fiancé, who's away on business, and her two fathers can make it, and they're waiting for the hotel to reopen, Rosie and Tanya decide to share with Sophie how she met her three fathers, Donna. And so that's when the movie becomes a prequel, where we flash back to 1979, when a young Donna, played by Lily James, has just graduated from college, and she's exploring the world. And at one point, she ends up on a tiny Greek island, the same Greek island in both movies. And along the way, in a short time span, she meets these three men, a young Sam, Bill, and Harry. And being the young girl that she is, she gets around and falls in love with each of these guys, and especially Sam. And we find out that Sam had a fiancé at the time. Ugh, bad boy. And we find out the backstory, and we also find out that Donna's been on her own for a while because her mother, Ruby, played by Cher, doesn't really want to be a mother as much. And we find out she wasn't really much of a grandmother either because Sophie's never really met her much, or at all, I don't know exactly. And as you might have guessed, everyone comes to a head at one point when they get to the hotel, and you worry if it's going to be a success or not. And by helicopter, because only by helicopter can she come, and comes Cher as Ruby. And Grandma, you weren't invited. That's the best kind of party, little girl. And all the while, once again, we're treated to more ABBA songs and more cheesy musical numbers. And overall, I thought it was a nice follow-up film to the original movie. Actually, surprisingly enough, found it a better movie. Usually it's rare for a sequel to be better than the original, but I thought it was. And because I think the story was stronger this time around, and it was more focused, and even though it's still, the same old cheesy numbers, that's the thing I have to stress here. This is a cheesy movie. So if you're one of those people who's not really into cheesy musicals, then probably you don't want to see this movie. But I enjoyed it. I mean, who couldn't love watching a movie where people are singing along to ABBA songs? Everyone loves ABBA, right? And you know all those songs, Mamma Mia, Dancing Queen, Knowing Me, Knowing You, Take a Chance on Me, they're all there. And of course, at one point you have a big number performed by Cher, because you don't bring Cher into a movie like this and have her not sing. I mean, come on. She has a big number with Fernando. And overall, the acting is just as good as usual, and there's a lot of silly, cheesy jokes, and again, cheesy dance numbers and choreography. And overall, this one, it's another lightweight, romantic comedy, but I had much more fun this time around, and I gave the sequel a B. Yep, this prequel sequel got a B from me, and the last one, original, I said got a B minus, so it's a little bit better than the original. Still not perfect, but still a fun time out at the movies. So if y'all want to see a great cheesy musical, then go ahead and see this movie. I highly recommend it to all of you out there. I mean, Mamma Mia, here we go again to the movies. Moving on. So the next film that I'll review for you is The Equalizer 2, rated R. It stars Denzel Washington, Pedro Pascal, Ashton Sanders, and Melissa Leo, and was directed by Antoine Fuqua, who already brought you such films as Training Day, King Arthur, Shooter, Southpaw, and the first Equalizer. Now, The Equalizer 2 is a sequel to the 2014 film The Equalizer, which in turn was loosely based on the TV series of the same name from the 1980s. Now, I never saw the original TV series, but the first Equalizer film, I did see that. The first film, it was about a man named Robert McCall, played by Denzel Washington. He was a former Marine and intelligence operative, and his wife recently passed away in the first movie, and he made a promise, a vow, that he would leave that life behind. And so he was working at a hardware store, just an ordinary, average working Joe, and he found out along the way there were a lot of unfortunate people with unfortunate situations, including a teenage prostitute who was, being badly treated. And so he decided to use his special skills to help out those less fortunate and who really needed it. And by the end of the first film, he called himself the Equalizer and vowed he would continue his career of helping out those in need with his skills. Now, the sequel starts off, Robert McCall is now working as a Lyft driver, And all the while, he's asking his old friend, Susan Plummer, played by Melissa Leo, with help finding these people who are less fortunate. I mean, he helps a woman track down her daughter who was kidnapped by her father and bring her back to her. And he beats up a group of men who drugged and raped a prostitute and helped her, get her medical bills covered. And he also helps out a Holocaust survivor, recover, find his long-lost sister that he lost when they were taken to different camps back during the war. And all the while, also his apartment complex where he's staying in Boston, it's vandalized. There's a lot of paint on the walls. And so a young guy who lives there in those apartment complex, Miles, played by Ashton Sanders, asks him if he could to get a job, repainting, for him, for the wall that's vandalized, and also his apartment soon after. We find out he's a troubled youth who also has a gift for the arts, and so he wants to help him out as well. Meanwhile, Susan Plummer, his friend, is called away to investigate the murder-suicide of an old operative and his wife, and she's joined by another operative named Dave, played by Pedro Pascal, who was Robert's former partner back when he was in his operative days. And not long after the investigation, Susan is mysteriously killed, and Robert mourns the loss of his friend, and he wonders, who did it, and so he tries to find out who did, and along the way he finds out that someone he knew in his past betrayed him, and so he sets off on a course of revenge, for justice. Now, overall, I thought this movie was just meh. I mean, to be honest, I don't remember too much about the first movie. It wasn't very memorable. I mean, of course, Denzel Washington, he's one of those rare actors who you can do no wrong. I mean, you give him any script and he will act the crap out of it. He's up there with like Samuel L. Jackson or Meryl Streep or Tom Hanks, those rare actors who they always deliver no matter what. But I feel like this time around, the sequel, the director trying really hard, to subdue him or like make him not seem so awesome. I mean, that's really hard to do too. I mean, it's a great action performance by Denzel Washington. There's some great action scenes in the movie, like a great car chase that happens. One of the main problems with the movie is that the pacing is really sluggish. I mean, so much doesn't happen for a while, and it's slow paced. So it's like, can we get to the story here? It's like taking a lot of time is happening here. And there's a lot of subplots too. I mean, I get that he's supposed to be this guy who's helping out all these different people, but there's all these minor stories that don't really tie into the main plot. So it's like, okay, can we cut loose a couple of these stories so we can get going here, more focus? I mean, it's not a bad film, it's just not any more interesting. Would I recommend it to you guys? Well, first of all, my grade, I give it a C, just a C, an average movie and it's kind of sad because I like Denzel Washington, but he deserved a better movie than this. And as a follow-up, as a sequel, it's just, I think it's less than the first film. But do I recommend it to you guys? Only if you really like Denzel Washington. Otherwise, no. This is not a movie that I would suggest you see at all. I mean, see it for free if you want to later on, but not in the movies. Don't waste your money on it. It's kind of sad. Hopefully Denzel Washington can bounce back. He will. I know he will. I mean, he's that kind of actor. He'll get a better film sooner or later. So go and see that film when it comes out. Moving on. So the last film that was in wide release on July the 20th was Unfriended Dark Web, rated R. It stars Colin Waddell and Stephanie Nogueras, and is a directorial debut of Steven Susko. Now, Unfriended Dark Web is a standalone sequel to the 2015 film Unfriended. What's unique about both of these movies is that they're told entirely through a computer screen. Friends who Skype each other and look at YouTube videos and go on Facebook and stuff, entirely on a computer screen. It never leaves the screen. And I thought that was a unique concept that we don't usually see in a movie. That was something new. And so the first Unfriended movie was about a girl and a group of friends who Skype each other throughout the movie. And then we find out that one of their friends, was killed through their actions. And so her ghost is now haunting them through social media. And she warns them, if you leave or sign off, I will kill you. So you have to stay here and play my game with me. And it was really spooky, but it was also kind of stupid, really, because the characters do these dumb actions and they make bad choices. And it wasn't really, could have been better. More tension, more scares. And so this standalone sequel removes that element of horror. And in this new Unfriended Dark Web, our main character is Matthias, played by Colin Waddell. And he has a brand new laptop that he's opened up and he's operating. And once again, it's told through a computer screen. It doesn't leave. But we find out that it's actually not a new computer for him. It's actually, he found it in a lost and found bin at a cyber cafe that he frequents. And it's been there for a while. So I thought, no one's claimed it, so I'll take it for myself. Ooh, bad choice, we find out. And so with his new computer, he Skypes his deaf girlfriend, Amaya, played by Stephanie Nogueras. And we find out that they're not broken up, but they're on, taking a leave because, she thinks that, he's not making enough of an effort to learn sign language, to understand her. And so she hangs up, and he's joined by Skype with all of his other friends, 5 of them? Yeah, 5 other friends, and for game night. And slowly but surely, he starts getting messages from a Facebook message saying, "Hey, you've got my computer. Give it back now." He's like, uh-oh. Could that be the owner, finding out through accessing the Facebook message of it? And so he wonders, uh-oh, should I do it now? Should I? And it's not long before he Skypes his girlfriend, Amaya, and as she goes away, to the bathroom or whatever, shower, all of a sudden a dark figure comes out of the shadows, and the face is covered, and steps over in front of them. Then the person hacks through the computer saying, either give it back or your girlfriend suffers or something. He's like, oh my god, what am I going to do? Amaya! And we find out later on that computer belonged to a hacker. He's part of a group of hackers call themselves a Circle. And they all have names: Charon 1, 2, 3, 4, numbers. Charon 6, whatever. And when he gets to access the dark web, which is where the movie title comes from, he finds that they have been responsible for, through videos through the computer he stole, they're responsible for a number of girls who've been kidnapped and tortured and killed. And he realizes, he and his friends and his girlfriend could very well be next. And so can he warn them, carefully, because the hackers can see his every move, to keep them all safe and get out of harm's way? I mean, it sounds intense, right? I just wish the actual movie, had lived up to that level of tension. I mean, there is some tense moments, not really, because it's not horror related. It's actually what could happen in the real world. Hackers could infiltrate your life and, ruin you or even destroy you or kill you. But I thought that, the acting was kind of lame. And also the characters, once again, make dumb decisions. I mean, it's so common in these horror movies. Like, stop being dumb and be smart here. And also, not really, there was some tension, but not enough. I feel like it needed more scares. It needed more, disturbing content. I feel like it wasn't enough, even though it was R-rated. Overall, I would give this one a C-. I would go lower, but I thought the concept and the whole, tense moments were enough to elevate it, but not that much. It's still below average movie. Do I recommend it to you guys? No, don't. Not even the first movie. They're both kind of lame. Just lame horror movies. I mean, this is one set of movies that I would definitely unfriend on Facebook. Anyway, let's move on. Mamma mia, here I go again with the recap. Recap. Mamma mia, here we go again. B. A light, cheesy, but still very fun sequel to a great musical, with many fun dance numbers, supported by a number of memorable songs by ABBA. I highly recommend this one, you guys, especially if you want to have a great fun time at the movies. The Equalizer 2, C. Despite a great performance by Denzel Washington, it's let down by sluggish pacing, too many subplots, and a weak climax. I don't recommend this one at all. And finally, Unfriended, Dark Web, C-. Despite a promising tense plot, it's really let down by bad acting, stupid characters, and not enough scares. I don't recommend this one at all either, so don't bother. And that'll do it for another ABBA-salutely fantastic edition of Jeffrey Michaels Movie Reviews Extravaganza. Until next time, happy movie watching, everybody! Knowing me, knowing you, I'll be back for the next video very soon.